everybody. I'm Chef Jourdan Chaton, and you are now tuned in to Chefish. And so today we've got my girl, Chef de Cuisine and Sauce Queen,
Woo.
Chef India Johnson.
Hey.
Welcome to the Brown Couch.
I'm so glad to be here. It's amazing. I love the setup.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm so happy that you're here.
I'm so happy to be here.
And so I'm just going to take a few moments and let the people know, a little bit of your history. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Tell them a little bit of what's in this sauce,
Yeah.
So Chef India was born in Queens, New York, repping the Queens. Queens, New York, and she was actually raised in Asheville, North Carolina, and found her way to Atlanta and kind of considers herself an Atlantean now.
Yeah, for sure.
You've been here long enough.
I've been here long enough.
You've been here.
I'm a peach.
You a peach?
I'm a peach.
Okay. So she might be a / Atlanta native, okay?
Yeah.
Little interpretation of it, And so you actually came from a family of cooks, bakers, and your dad was a chef.
Yeah.
And so I'd imagine that to be like an amazing thing. Your dad is a chef. Did he used to cook a lot?
Oh, yeah. Okay. I mean, of course, as a kid, you don't appreciate it as much. So
right.
This person is feeding me because he has to, but
the seeds were planted.
Yes.
The seeds were definitely planted.
Absolutely.
And so Chef India actually started out in corporate America.
I did.
So she didn't even know that food was going to be her thing. And it actually took you a while because you actually started out in wine.
I did. Crazy, right?
It is. It is.
Wine and food go together, though.
They do. Yeah. They do. It's still a great. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's still a great. And so you actually, not only, so she started out in wine and she actually started to develop a wine concept.
I did.
You did.
Did your research.
And well, actually, we're going to get into that, but she is a friend of mine and she may have mentioned it, so I might know some things, you know what I'm saying? And so I'm applying that here.
That's wonderful.
Because we like to tell the cheffies that are tuned in some things that they might not be able to find if they get their Googles on. You know what I'm saying?
I like it.
Yeah, it's the personal touch, baby.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I like to know what I'm talking about.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
You do.
Okay, so you were doing the wine thing before you realized your dream as a chef, and you had spent your money on education at which school was it that you did it before corporate America? You had did some sort of education.
Oh, just kind of like my degree is more like technology, computer network technology.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so
I couldn't figure that information out.
I was going to go into computers.
Okay. Okay.
I realized it wasn't for me.
And so ultimately you decided, because she spent a little money on that. She was like, I'm not going to spend the money to put myself through culinary arts school.
Nope.
And so what she did was she started working with other accomplished chefs within the industry that she had essentially admired.
Yes.
And so that ultimately was her culinary training.
Right.
And then ultimately you moved on to merging your experience with corporate America and kind of like branding and marketing knowledge together with food. Yep. And she started creating these unforgettable, one-of-a-kind dining experiences. And because of your background, it was easy for you to start working with big brands out the gate.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Out the gate.
Yeah.
And because of her background, I actually believe that you kind of see food in color and texture.
I do.
You do.
I'm an artist of sorts when it comes to food.
Well, I always say real chefs we are artists.
Yeah.
It's like our knife is a mic.
Yep.
Our plate is the canvas, and the ingredients are the paint. And so, yes,
you were,
but literally, I just, because I do follow you, I am a fan. Your colors are always vibrant, and you're always putting different cultures, flavors, but texture is. She loves.
I do
pops of colors and a crunch of this, like. She knows what she's doing, but I feel like your start in corporate America and that experience all kind of married together. Yep. And so now that I've given everybody your intro, I just want to let them know, for y'all that are wondering, Chef India and I know each other through a mutual chef friend, Chef Rose Claire Marie, who is not only a private chef, but an excellent food stylist.
Oh my God, she's
one of the best in the
killing
game. And a black woman. Hello,
Yes.
FUBU, for you by us.
You
That's
can't
what
find a better
For you
food
by
stylist,
us.
and she's killing it right now.
she's killing it, and
Yeah.
she's married to one of the top photographers in the game, so
Yep.
they're a dynamic duo. Shout out to Rosemary Cliff. We love you, baby. And so, welcome again to the Brown Couch.
Yes,
I'm
Brown Couch.
so thankful that you were here because
Glad
I've been
to be
talking
here.
about this for a long time.
Yes.
And we finally here doing it.
Yeah, we're here. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah. So now that I gave everyone kind of like a brief intro, you tell me in your own words.
Yeah, for sure. So, Chef India Johnson. I go by Chef India. I feel like I am a very experienced chef. I've
Okay.
done a lot of different things. I've tried my hand at catering, the wine business, just lots of things. And I still feel like I am experimenting with myself and the things that I'm wanting to do, right?
Okay.
But so, you had a lot of great things to say, girl, about all the things that I've done, and all those are still very true to my past and my experience.
But you're supposed to tell us in your voice who you
Yeah,
are, what
so-
it is that you do.
What I do, I call myself a creative entrepreneur.
Okay.
I don't even really go by chef too much.
So she's in the creative ghetto. She's in the creative ghetto.
You
I
know,
call entrepreneurship the ghetto.
Yes.
Yes.
But
We
because
love it.
everything that I am doing is associated with a level of business, and that could be like coming from my corporate background.
Mhm.
I'm doing what I love to do in food, but there's a certain business aspect of it,
Mhm.
And I say that primarily because of my Sauce Queen brand, which is a consumer packaged goods brand.
Mhm.
I have products. It takes knowing how to run a business to have a product.
Right.
And so for me, just being that in that creative hood of entrepreneurship is kind of where I live these days. I still do catering, private chef gigs can be booked at any given time, but really focusing on my business, my Sauce Queen business, and trying to take that business to the next level. So that is currently what I'm doing right now, and based off what I've done, I think you understand. I've done wine, I've done food, work with brands, very very much so an experimentalist, artist. I like to get in the kitchen and do what I want to do, right? Because a lot of times it's about what I want to do. I'm like, what do I want to get up and make today that can be impactful? With all those things, colors and textures and that jazz. It's very creative.
Tell me, let's get into the starter.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me, how is it that you got into exploring different types of cuisines? Because you have a Trinidadian background.
I do.
And so your dad was a chef. What type of food did you actually grow up on versus the food that you're cooking now?
Yeah. So the food that I grew up on is twofold. Well,
Mhm.
maybe threefold even. I have a Southern American mom.
Okay.
I have a very island Trinidadian dad.
Okay.
From North Carolina on my mom's side,
Mhm.
but really raised in New York in those streets and understanding like all cultures of food.
Yeah.
A
A lot of people have big dreams of New York, but have not been there. So
Yeah.
in the melting pot of New York,
Yes.
what are the 5 most go-to foods that you're eating in?
When I go to New York, I'm getting
Because it's like we've been there, we've been there, but all of my cheffies might not have been there
Let me
before.
tell you, when I go to New York, it's a must-have to get a slice of pizza, a
Okay.
good slice of New York cheese pizza. Do not get it; it's worth it. Chinese food, Italian. What else? A good sandwich, a good hoagie. Ugh, I gotta have it.
Okay.
And then my Caribbean is a beef patty. I need some curry chicken, like authentic New York style.
Authentic.
Yes, 'cause
They got an attitude
that's
behind the
where
counter.
the
They're
we have
mad
it
about
here,
giving you the extra
but right, exactly. Our
extra gravy.
right
Oh.
Caribbean culture down here is nothing. in
It's very
comparison.
mid.
Yeah,
It's very no shade,
yeah.
no shade
No
to
shade.
everyone,
No.
but not impressed.
Yeah, it's not enough. That's my problem.
To me, from the ones that I've had, they're
Mm.
just not really taking it there, and
Yeah.
maybe they aren't like a lot of times it's either too salty
Yeah,
or it's just flat,
yeah,
and it's
Yeah.
like there's so much life in that food.
yeah.
To be delivering it
Yeah.
mid is kind of
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. So that's what I mean when I go to New York.
okay.
Yep. And then, I've spent some time in Florida, so I got some Florida inspiration.
Okay.
I used to be a part of this Puerto Rican family, so like for 7 years. So I like Spanish food. So
What do you got? What do you got?
So just all of
arroz
that.
con pollo.
Yes, girl. Rice and beans.
Yeah.
What?
Rice
and
and beans.
avocado on the side. That's all you really need.
Tell them about it. They don't know about it.
So all those cultural influences of my past life is like really a tribute to the way that I cook today, So modern Caribbean, but also a little bit Southern American. So, a little good mix of all of that.
Okay, so just to give our listeners just a taste.
Yeah.
What is it that made you choose food over corporate America? Like, what was it?
Yeah, for sure. Number
'Cause that's a
one,
big
I don't
answer.
like working for anybody else.
Number one,
And number two, don't tell me I gotta be at work at 9 o'clock, because if I want to be
I
there
want
at
to sleep
10,
until
then
10.
that's when I want to come in. You know what I'm saying? Like,
And we gotta run.
and it just got old. Like, I was good at what I was doing in corporate America, but
It was safe.
Yeah, it was safe. I was making good money. It just didn't drive me, didn't motivate me to do anything. I found myself, while I was working in corporate America, going to restaurants after work, going to work, working in both environments, just so I could kind of soak it up and see, like, that's really how I started. Like, working corporate America and then going to work at a bar or a restaurant.
Who freelances in restaurant work at night? A chef, okay?
Right, like 2,
a
3
chef.
Getting up, doing it the next day, having to be at work at 9, for the corporate life.
So there was no sleep for the week.
No, and I did that for a very long time and really wanted to immerse myself in hospitality so I could understand, like, what truly cooking food for other people was like, And so I did that for a few years. But for me, corporate was it was old. I wanted to do something else, inspired by traveling, inspired by my dad. I thought that wine was going to be my primary thing, but I think wine is my way to food. Like, I grew up around great food, don't get me wrong, it's in my roots, but wine and food, the combination together and what that's like for people is really where I fell in love
I'm
with
happy that you said that, because literally the next question that I have for you is going to be about that.
Yeah.
And so my thing is from my understanding, is that when you were putting your wine business together, for whatever reason, the pieces just weren't sticking.
Yes.
Right?
For sure.
So
it's expensive.
It's expensive. Now, is that really what the problem was?
Yes, girl. So what I wanted to do, I wanted to open and run a micro winery.
Okay.
Because not living in California, not really having access to wine bearing lands where, grapes growing is viable.
Vineyards.
Yeah. Not having any access to that or having the money for that, because buying land is like millions of dollars, or not being born into a family.
I got some links for some land. You know what? Actually, there's actually a lot of opportunity for us Black women to get agricultural loans and grants.
Yeah.
Some of them 100%
That's
paid
awesome
off
to
too.
hear, but in the early 2000s,
yeah, we're talking about
hitting on those resources.
Right,
You know what I'm saying? So, like, really, like, doing the research and trying to figure out how much is this going to cost me, right? So in corporate, I started traveling for work. Loved the wine and dine aspect of it.
Right.
Fell in love with wine and food. My dad was also a garagiste, a term where you're technically just making wine in your garage.
Right.
He would make buckets of just like all types of infused things. Not that type of infused, but you know what I mean.
Figuring it out.
Yeah, fermenting and with just bottle stuff. And as I got older, I fell in love with that process, but also was exposed to like going out to Napa Valley and walking those vineyards and talking to the winemakers and understanding how it works. It's like, I want some element of this, right? Come back to Florida at the time, and I'm like, how do I do this?
Right.
So started doing my research. What does it take to open up a facility to just do like the grape juice processing piece?
Okay.
Like just turning the juice into the actual wine, not really growing
before
the
it goes into the barrel.
because there's
there's processes.
Yeah, it's process. You can cut out like having to grow the grapes and just purchase the juice. Yeah. And get it into a bottle.
And ferment it. Yeah.
So I wanted to do that. And I did do that kind of like on a very indie level, just doing stuff on my own.
Small scale.
But
get your palate wet.
Getting the numbers together for a concept of what I wanted was millions of dollars.
Right.
Not a startup situation.
Right.
So I pivoted and this was like 2010, 2011.
And we love the pivot.
Yeah.
We love the pivot.
What can I do different? Well, I can focus on this food because every time I have a wine tasting, I'm cooking the food. You can't have people just at a tasting, which I would do a lot of.
Right.
I would make wine, have events, do wine tastings, and do like little tapas style appetizer things. People loved it.
Yeah. Elevated charcuterie.
Right. Got a lot of great feedback
yeah.
on like the food aspect of what I was doing, which I was not really interested in at that time. And I was like, yo, maybe I need to try the food thing.
So that's the moment that you realized this is it.
Yeah.
That was the moment then.
Yeah, for sure.
Doing that.
Yep. And then I was already working in restaurants as servers, bartenders, being in the kitchen, and just like befriended a lot of chef friends. That's actually how like me and Chef Scott Leanis met. When I met Chef Scott, he was in the kitchen as a sous chef, not owning or running any restaurants, you know? And I remember just getting in the corner, like, how you stand up, not going on in the restaurant, like, talking about the future.
Right.
I remember him talking to me about, like, what he wanted to do. And I was like, you know what? I think I want to cook too, So it's just like from those roots of just like connecting with people and just kind of like practicing and taking on jobs, learning how to do it.
Doing the work.
Yeah, you got to get out there and do the work because it's not for the faint of heart.
It's not for the weak.
No, it's manual labor.
It's not for the weak. It's hard.
Challenging. You got to be a problem solver.
Well, beyond that, I always say that success is directly correlated to sacrifice.
Yep.
And especially in this business, if you're not willing to sacrifice your personal life, your sleep, sometimes your health, you're not going to be able to make it.
Yeah.
Because it's really a dog eat dog. It can be intense,
yeah,
it's
sure.
It's extremely hard. Yep. So before we jump into the main course, I want to also come back to, do you ever think that you will refocus on that dream of your wine?
Yeah, it comes up a lot. It does. People ask me, like, hey, you ever gonna do that again? And
well, but what if it was like, what if it's like, because I've seen other wine concepts where they don't do what you do.
Yeah.
And they don't do what you do.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's that far fetched. And it is a new day and age.
Yeah.
There are resources out there. So do you think that you'll revisit that dream?
I'm gonna revisit it in a different way.
Okay.
I believe. I am very much so a lover of wine. I drink wine regularly.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be the one still going out to Napa. I'm at wine tastings all the time. I'm still a lover of wine is what I'm trying to say. And so the next level of Sauce Queen, which involves like a physical space,
right?
I think there's going to be some sort of wine programming in that space.
Okay.
Maybe a wine club, really focusing on Black brands, because there are a lot of Black owned wine companies out there. You could just, I feel like I could stock a store with just Black owned brands and not focus on anybody else, and it'd be great. And then maybe offer some people some private label services. That is basically what I was doing at that time.
And what does that mean for people that don't know when you offer private label?
Yeah, for sure. So private label would be a consultant situation where you need a certain amount of wine for an event, for a wedding. Mm-hmm. We talk about the type of wine that you're interested in making. I talk you through like the process, how long it takes, the fermentation, the bottling, graphic design.
Oh, so you get to help people play with their money.
Yeah. But see, the issue was, it's very expensive.
Yeah.
It takes time.
Yeah.
And I kind of like...
But this way you get to fulfill the dream.
Yeah.
Segue through somebody else.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I was doing it, but then it just felt like so much more of an effort. To kind of get the wine thing going. Mm-hmm. Food seemed to just happen more naturally, more quicker.
Okay.
People like, oh, okay, well, that wine sounds great. Because that's how it started. People be like, oh, I'm interested in wine. I'm interested in food. And when we start down the wine path, it's like, oh, okay. That seems like a little too intense. Like, what about just the food? And it would just end up being that way. People will be like, okay, what about just the food?
Right.
I'm like, oh, okay, you're limiting yourself on this amazing experience, so we could just talk about the food. And then I started getting more catering jobs that way. So wine eventually just became in the background, and then eventually not at all. But I am very much so a scientist when it comes to that, because again, I like to experiment.
Right.
So I could see myself making some
doubling
wine
back.
Yeah.
Doubling back.
Yeah.
sometimes we gotta reinvent the dream.
Yeah.
Sometimes the dream has to stay on the back burner until we get it figured out.
Right.
Let's get into the main course, our entree, if you will.
Yeah.
So I think you're kind of saying this is around the time where you were like, okay, this is it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make that. I'm gonna put wine on the back burner, and I'm gonna dive into the food. So take a sip.
Right, I'm like, you made this fabulous cocktail over here.
A little blueberry cardamom smash.
Just sitting over there. So
with a little cognac.
A little parched.
If Duce want to cut a check, Ooh.
Yeah.
Do you taste the cardamom?
I do. I do. It's a syrup, right?
Yeah.
I love it. It's good.
But it's more blueberry than it is syrup.
It is very berry, but I like berry things.
Yeah.
Yeah, berry is good.
I love it.
It's a great combination. You balanced it well. You did.
I tried, what I'm saying? The sauce queen was over here. I was like, ooh, I think some cardamom something would be good.
Yeah.
I think she would like it. I'm telling you, I made it. I was like, let me give her this option. I knew you were going to go with that one too.
Yes. You know me.
You're the first one that got to what's in your cup, because I actually make different cocktails from everyone. I haven't even discussed it. They're just kind of sitting over there. So I'm happy that we're discussing what's in the cup. You know what I'm saying? Especially while we talk about that entree. You know what I'm saying? Get that whistle wet. You know what I'm talking about?
Right. All right. Let's talk about it.
So that's where your turning point was. What exactly did that look like? So were you in restaurants? Were you still kind of half in, half out with corporate, or were you fully in the restaurant scene now?
Yeah. So I was doing a little bit of both still for a while, and then I quit corporate.
Okay.
But I ended up going back. But because, sometimes when you pull out that resume, you do good work, you can get a job 10 years later, if you need to. But I was like, I'm going to go ahead and quit now.
Right.
So 2011, 12-ish, and just really focusing on food. But then it was like, all right, I need a job. So I remember just going back to restaurants, manager at Barley's. If you were old enough, Atlanta, you know what Barley's was. It was like the place to go play pool, hear live music, and sports.
The
bars.
people need to know.
Yeah.
Paint the picture.
The building is still there. I wish I could just buy this building because it's on Peachtree Street.
We believe in manifestation.
Yes, girl.
Put it out there.
But
plant a seed in the
and
land.
then just try my hand in a more, again, because I'm so business minded, more managerial perspective.
Right.
So I went back to work. I quit corporate, but went to work in restaurants at a manager level.
Okay.
Actually running. Do you know where Crew is right now?
No.
It's over there, right by Pond City Market.
Oh, okay.
So it's in the same place where I used to work, but it was owned by somebody else when I worked there.
Okay.
It was a small bar. The guy who owned it needed a manager, and he was a doctor. He's like, I just need somebody to run this business.
Because I don't know what I'm doing.
I don't know what I'm doing.
I'm a doctor. I work on
bodies. Basically just gave it to me. And so I'm
playing with other people's money.
Right.
We love it.
So I learned a lot, though, about running a restaurant and owning a business. And
so you were given the responsibility before you were qualified?
Yes.
But you had enough knowledge.
I sure did.
But you had enough knowledge. And you showed up and you did the work, though.
Yep.
Right? Because I feel like sometimes either people aren't showing up to do the work, or they haven't worked long enough to get the experience, and they're just jumping wide out there, and they're usually falling flat.
I remember being there so much, I was like sleeping in my car, just to kind of get some rest, But I learned so much. But then I learned that events is kind of like where I loved creating for people.
Okay. So this is where you started to hone in.
Yeah, I started to really focus on ideas that I wanted to do for private dinners or mix and mingle type events. So a friend of mine, together, something that we're actually bringing back. There's a brand concept called the Food Club. Okay. And really we started in our house. You know what? We just
gotta start somewhere. Welcome to Chefish.
Over, right? Exactly. A lot of stuff starts in your house.
We gotta start somewhere before we get that building.
Yes, invite people over and just hang out. And I would get in the kitchen and just kind of do a demo. Basically, just do my chef thing. You know how I get. Heads down, I'm focused. I'm not paying attention.
Right.
DJ, and people loved it. And we did that for a while. And we're actually going to bring that element of type of event back. We're doing an event in March.
Okay.
Because I feel like we don't really have that house party vibe anymore, even though we're not doing it in a home.
Right.
People just don't get together, hang out, eat food, drink, and listen to music anymore.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
No.
So, especially...
I don't know what it is now. Standing on couches, staring or looking at everybody.
Right.
No.
So just kind of bringing that social vibe back with some of us, So excited about that. But I would just start doing things like that. I was very much so what kind of events can I do to bring people together to try, and I was still trying to figure out my style of food too, to be honest,
Well, but I kind of feel like, So you're able to work with brands like Martell.
Yep.
You were doing the Martell House out
Yep.
here, which
Yep.
was a liquor sponsored house.
Yep.
Where you were doing dinner series. It wasn't necessarily dinner series. You were just cooking with the brand.
Yep.
Big meetings.
Yep.
Great
I'm
for the
very
culture.
thankful.
Shout out to Kareem Latif.
Yes.
Shout out to Kareem. He was
that was
super. He's a genius, and
Yes.
I don't think that he really gets enough credit in the branding and marketing world. And he's
Yes.
also a culture curator.
Yeah, yeah.
A culture
He's
curator.
an artist.
He is. He's
does all
he's
kinds of
awesome.
stuff.
Get
Yeah.
your Google on, y'all.
Yeah, yeah.
So the Martell House, but
Mhm.
you've also worked with other brands like
Patron
and
Courvoisier.
yeah, I did it.
Okay.
I did it. I did my research. I did it. So yes, so working with, I mean, those aren't small time brands.
Yeah,
Those are
no.
big brands.
Yeah.
And so when you were doing those type of things, how did that come about? Did they seek you out, or did you headhunt them and seek them out?
Well, I did not seek anybody out. These are just opportunities that just kind of came to me through people that I knew, to be quite honest. Sometimes it does pay to know certain folks, but
But to also not even know people, I always
Right.
say that we should always talk about our dreams and our aspirations,
Yes.
because that's a powerful tool within manifestation.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I say it's always planting seeds in the wind. You
Yeah.
never know where it's going to land. So we
Yeah.
could be talking about this, and then next week one of my clients is talking about they want to do a wine vineyard. And I'm
Yeah.
be like, I know somebody.
Exactly, but you know why? It's because you support me, right? It's
Aw.
twofold. It's really speaking out in existence what you want,
Right.
but also having the right people around you that support you to say, you know what, when I hear something about that next time, I'm gonna put India on. And
Yeah.
that's basically what happened. One of my my people, shout out to Grace. Grace, I'm gonna give her a shout out because
I'm a
Butler.
fan of hers. I don't know
Yes.
her. She used to live here.
yes, she just launched
Hey,
the
Grace.
very first Black woman-owned liquor delivery service in Atlanta. Shout out to Glugler. But Grace, she used to be a manager of restaurants. I met her at an event.
Oh, you know what? We're thinking about somebody else,
Who?
but never mind. I just wanted to correct myself,
Fine,
so when it goes, they're like, I don't know that woman. You definitely don't, Grace.
It's
But
fine.
hi,
It's
girl.
fine. Hi, Grace.
The one I'm talking about is Asian. Sorry.
Right.
I was like, it's clear this is some other
When
black
I
girl
said
magic
black-
we was talking about.
Black woman owned.
Black.
No,
I was
she
like, oh
faded.
yeah, no, someone else.
But Grace actually introduced me to Kareem.
Okay.
And invited me to a sit down and just talk to him about like what I had going on, and he told me about the Martell project. And then he also knew a few other people that I am associated with. So again, it's about like being in the right circle,
Building a community.
of people who really support each other. So when you get opportunities, people tell you about certain things, you could put other people on if necessary. But that's kind of how I got Martell. People's like, oh, you need to meet India. Like, she would be perfect for this project. And then we met. And then I remember getting the call. The first Martell event was for Interscope.
Okay.
I think it might have been their anniversary, but it was like for their like staff.
Uh-huh.
And I remember actually being on the cruise trying to talk to Kareem on the phone, like trying to get the details of this Interscope dinner because it was like the next 2 days. I had to get off a boat, go show. You know how it go. Like, I got to make this happen because
I gotta get on a flight.
Yeah, it's a
I
good
gotta
look.
get on a flight.
Yeah.
Not only do I need to secure this check, but I also need to build that relationship.
Yes.
Because
And
you
I
don't always get the opportunities.
No.
You literally have to, if they're worth it, of course.
Right,
but sometimes the money doesn't match up with the actual opportunity,
Yeah.
and you have to be able to discern.
Right.
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 So yeah.
Agreed.
So you got on that flight.
Yeah, I made it back to Atlanta and I put the menu together. They loved it. We did the dinner. I still look back at those pictures like, man, this was the beginning, because after that event, they called me back to do like
More.
And it was not more just like more. It was like, we want you to be the resident chef of this concept for however long we're going to do it.
Bag.
So
Bag
I was on board because it was like the best look I could get, because with the Martell event, there's photography, there's videography, so it's free content. Then I got the right people in the room.
And you're able to do what you want.
Do what I creatively wanted to do, girl.
Yes.
Every
We
single
love
time.
creative freedom.
Yes,
We love creative freedom.
Never questioned not one menu from me.
Love
Never.
it. That's actually for chefs, that's heaven.
Yeah.
Because really, honestly, like I was saying earlier, we consider ourselves to be artists.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of times when people hire you and you're getting hired to be a personal chef or a caterer, sometimes people can stifle our creativity.
Yep.
And it's like, they only like chicken strips and mashed potatoes.
Right.
And it's like, okay, well, I'm gonna do, instead of chicken, let's do some duck, and I'll make it look like a, you know what I'm saying? And they're like, I don't want this, and it's like, but what do you mean?
Right,
This
it's
is beautiful. And it's like,
amazing.
it's like, no, girl, you can paint these pictures, but you can only use these colors.
Yes,
and it's white.
It's difficult
and yellow.
That's difficult for me. Like, I don't like situations like that, and I'll let you know. Like, don't. Then I'm not.
We're not a match.
We're not.
But I
match.
love that, because you know what? A lot of people don't have that sense of security.
Yeah.
And then also, just, you know, sometimes it's like, I'd rather just get the money.
Yeah.
And so, but I'm also like a firm believer that if you keep saying yes to everything, then you're never going to be able to get what you really want.
Yeah, for sure.
Because now you're blocking up all your time with things that are draining the life out of you. You know what I'm saying?
Gosh.
And your spirit.
Yes.
So I really admire that you, because, you know, I ain't trying to talk about my clients, but not everybody loves food. And so I definitely took on huge, amazing contracts. But, you know, some people may have
asked you to sacrifice
like,
your...
You know, they eat like a toddler. And it's like, damn, I'm a 5-star chef. You know, I know how to do all of these things. And so I admire that you were able to, like, no, I'm not doing that. For sure. This is what I'm doing. I mean, those opportunities
and it was encouraged.
Came to you.
Yeah, it was encouraged. Like, so for Martell, we did every style of event. We used to do brunch. We would do sit-down dinners. And these dinners were real intimate, like 12, 14. Mix and mingle were like 25, where I would have to create a buffet versus like, you know, multi-course. So a lot of variety, a different type of themed events that I could contribute my creative thoughts on food to, you know?
It's a beautiful
thing.
Yeah,
and it started with like people coming in, like influencers coming in, like, oh, they want to use the space for this particular influencer's concept. Right. To like the later portion of that project turned into like, okay, Martell team, what do you want to do? India, you have some ideas? Yeah, I've got some ideas.
So now it wasn't even just that you had a seat at the table. You were now at the head of the table.
Yes.
Love
and
it.
So they allowed me to create my own concepts, which has elevated some of the things I'm doing today. So there, they let me do my own little show called Sauce, Spice, and Smoke, which I have a YouTube series called Sauce, Spice, and Smoke. Right. That from being at Martell then went on and grew that during the pandemic.
So when you got into that, is that kind of where the ideas of you having your own spices and your food specialty branding came about?
It came before that, but the opportunities at Martell allowed me to be really saucy.
Like a dream realized. Yeah. So I feel like sometimes we have a dream, but we put it back there because reality is like right now.
Yep. And during that time is really when I started like playing around with recipes for Sauce Queen.
That was Sauce, What, and Smoke?
Sauce, Spice, and Smoke.
Check that out.
Yeah, it's on YouTube now. And I'm actually, it's something else that I'm looking to bring back and just kind of do like a live.
Yeah, but we support that. It's there.
Are you familiar with Kitsch? Are you on Kitsch?
No.
Okay.
No.
It's a platform for just chefs, like a live situation. We'd have to talk more about that.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, you can educate them. My cheffies might want to know.
Yeah. If you have a platform, you have an idea, just like want to get on a platform made for chefs. I
don't know. Maybe I'll play the background and listen. I don't really like giving away my ideas for free. I think some people like to run off.
Yeah, for sure. And
so
then you have to think about like
guard my intellectual property.
For sure,
I'm like, no. If you're not paying me, you're not getting it.
Yeah, and it's difficult because you got to create the content to attract the people, right? But then you don't want to give them all the goods. Like, I want you to pay for this. So I totally feel what you're saying. No free. It's hard.
I know that you are, well, you're not, it's not so new wife, and not new mother, but you do have 2 babies. Yes. You know what I'm saying? And a newerly married, but you've been in your relationship for a long time. How would you say your career has changed since that's happened?
I like to say that I'm the same person.
Well, not you. How has your career changed? Yeah. Like, what is that? Okay. What does that look like now? I mean, I think that it's important for moms to discuss.
Yeah, it's a lot more thought that has to go into it. Now, number one, I have a super supportive ass husband. Okay. Like, even when I didn't have kids, if I needed to go,
he was there.
Yeah.
Because I support my girl here. I done had some of her food.
He'll wash the dishes. He'll, cook, like whatever. And he's always been a big proponent of go out there and do the job, do what you gotta do. Like, I'm gonna support you. And with the kids, it's the same thing. It's because if I'm out, he gotta go watch the kids. You know?
Is that who's watching them now?
We don't have family, like close family here, like a whole lot. So we don't have the babysitters, like the in-home babysitters, or just like in the family babysitters that come up like watch these kids for a couple hours. It's us, you know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of communication. It's a lot of planning. Like, listen, this is what my week looks like. I got an interview on Sunday. I got a catering event on Tuesday, and this is what needs to happen, and this is where the kids need to be, and he's usually with it.
So the change is kind of like before kids.
Yeah.
If the phone rang, you would be like, "Oh, you're 2 days?
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah,
if I can do whatever I want to do, what's that budget like?
For sure.
You know. Yeah. So it's more thought and more planning that has to go into it.
Yeah, lots of planning, because you got to always maintain these children. I mean, they're 3 and 8 months.
Yeah. No, that's why I said they're babies.
So, like...
So thank you for being here. Okay?
No, they be like, mommy's working. Mommy working? Yes, mommy's working.
That's good. Let them know early.
Right.
So
I'm planting the mindset like mommy is working. But, for me, it's kind of like...
Have you found it difficult, though, to find the work-life balance? Like, do you feel like you dealt with
it's like a whole nother level of tired, I feel like. As far as events and stuff, I still go hard to do the things that I need to do to make events go off without a hitch, you know? But with the kids, it's kind of like, okay, make sure you get your mom, because they be on the mom. Like, dads are cool, y'all are cool, but, like, they love their mom. I got boys, too, like... It's like, what are you doing?
Well, usually a boy's first love is their mom, just like a girl's first love is usually their dad.
Yeah, so I have to make sure I get my mom time in.
Yeah.
And then when I'm done with an event, tap into being mom. There's like, don't come home from this event and feel like you got to go into the bedroom, take a shower, be by yourself. Just
scream outside.
You got to go in this house, take a shower,
smile,
and
wash it away, and give them the most mommy positive energy.
Yeah, if they don't get it, it's
so you set a clear separation between the two.
You have to. And then I just make sure that I balance it out, and I dedicate my energy 100%, 1,000%. When I'm mom, that's what I'm doing. People call me to do stuff. I'm like, I can't. I'm momming right now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, they're in daycare. If you need something from me, it has to happen before 5 o'clock.
Yeah, you got to work around my baby schedule, okay? I heard that.
Okay.
But your babies are supposed to go first.
Right. And period. So, if you want to meet with me, you want to do something, it need to happen by 5 during the week, unless otherwise arranged and scheduled for things to happen differently. But just on the fly, 5 o'clock. Then I turn into mom. We go home. I'm still cooking dinner. I'm a chef, but I still cook my family dinner mostly every night except for Friday.
You know they love to hear that. You know they love to hear that.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm always like, there's definitely a misconception with me.
Well,
because if I've been cooking all day, I'm not coming home and cooking for you.
Exactly.
That
was me. Yeah. But I don't got no choice. So those are the differences.
Yeah.
They're a whole different level of
because
priority.
Homemaking kind of moves up to the front.
Yeah.
Homemaking to me is the biggest unpaid job that there is.
Yes.
And it's usually 10 jobs in one. Like, I really give it to moms.
Yeah,
like,
shout out to the moms,
like,
man,
no joke.
It's a lot. And I didn't realize it because I never was a person who, like, overly needed to have children. Mm-hmm. But I love them.
Right.
They're here. You know what I'm saying? I take care of them. But I'm still out here grinding for my work and my art as well. So it's a good balance. You got to create it for yourself. It just doesn't come naturally. You have to create that balance. Think through it for yourself. Yeah.
No, it's huge. It's a new identity once you have kids. Mm-hmm. Tell me more about how you go about creating your menus and your actual dining experiences, because I have been so blessed to actually attend. She goes all out, ambiance, anything that you can think about. She's thought of every single detail. So what is that process like, and what do you look for to pull inspiration? For sure.
So number one, I'll feel like if I'm not planning towards an event, like I feel like I'm not doing anything.
Right.
So I try to think in advance. Number one, what type of experiences am I trying to do?
Right.
Am I just trying to plan a pop-up where people can come and get some of my fast casual aspects of food? Mm-hmm. Do I want to do a seated dinner where it's ticketed and really market and promote? There's a lot of effort that comes behind all of this stuff. But when I think about the different types of events, I usually want to have like one of a certain type of event, either like once a month or once every couple months. Mm-hmm. The pop-ups for me this year are essential. I'm trying to pop up every opportunity. But as far as like the dinners, I love doing dinners. And the concepts really come down to what I'm really trying to put out there, right? Mm-hmm. So, like, for me, my style of cooking, when it comes down to dinners, I usually have a brand or a theme that goes with that, right? It's called the Mangrove. And the Mangrove is where I do, like, multi-course, like, modern, real fine dining level, modern Caribbean cuisine. I think now versus before, I've really, like, kind of tuned into, like, this Caribbean side of me. Where
that Trini blood.
Before, it was just, like, I'm just doing something that creatively shows the things that I like.
Right.
So I'm kind of like, you're just going to start to see more from me content-wise, that more modern Caribbean. But
attached to your roots.
Yeah,
we
for
love
sure.
It.
For sure. But concept-wise, venues are important. Mm-hmm. What's the venue? What do I have access to? What does that look like? Daytime, nighttime. You got to think through all the production aspects. If you're going to have video, photography, DJ, music, or whatever. Mm-hmm. What does that experience feel like?
Right.
You know what I mean? So, for instance, I have another creative person who wants to do a dinner with me in April. Mm-hmm. And it's in someone's backyard. But it's a very private, large backyard. And it's like, okay, well, what do we want people to feel like when they enter this space?
Okay.
It's April. It's spring. Like, let's think about spring elements. You know what I mean? Garden-esque
food. Yeah.
From the food perspective. And then I start thinking through,
because seasonality is really important.
Very much so.
For those that don't know, seasonality means we stick to cooking foods that are in season.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times in America, people aren't educated. We're just high consumers here. And so we think apples are all year. We think pears are all year. Even oranges. We think, no.
Right.
It's literally, there's a citrus season.
Yep.
There's a rock fruit season.
Yep.
You're not supposed to.
Season
there's a
for
berry
greens,
season. Berry, greens, squash, everything. And so you are really heavy into that. Why is sustainability so important to you?
Well, it's important because, I want to be able to know where, like, my food comes from, and so it's, for me, here in the city, there are a lot of great farmers, lots of Black farmers, and based off what I'm doing, if I'm looking for a particular ingredient, I'm going to reach out to them first.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm looking for, purple asparagus. Is there anybody growing that right now?
Right.
So it's good to have those relationships, be able to have that in the bag. If they don't have it, then it's fine, because not every season is going to match for your creative thoughts for your dish.
Right. So since you've always kind of been like a boss, you know what I'm saying? You've always been a boss within your industry, because you really did create your own lane. Have you had any issues gaining respect when working with men?
I would say that it was an issue starting out.
Okay.
Right? But I think...
But tell me what those issues look like. Because sometimes I feel like men do their thing towards us subconsciously, and they don't even recognize that they're doing it.
Right. I would agree.
So we like to put language with the behavior so that you guys can change out there for my cheffies. I would say
for a lot of Black women chefs getting going around the time I was going, like early 2000s, it was way more apparent. Like, you don't belong in this kitchen.
Right.
It's that whole French, like, you don't belong here, you know? And so it was a battle really trying to do things within a space alongside men and being able to show and prove why I deserved to be there.
Okay.
And so that was a lot with, like, working with other catering companies and doing events where just having to work underneath a male chef, right? Then kind of breaking out onto my own, kind of growing my own respect out here through the birth and the growth of social media, right? This is like, okay, people were on Facebook, great. Then came Twitter, then came Instagram. Now there's so many different platforms to really kind of utilize to kind of show and prove what you can do. Right. And I think there's a lot more respect now versus then, because we got receipts.
Right.
We got receipts. You can't tell me. You can't tell me that I'm not good at.
You can't say I wasn't shooting in the gym.
Right. So it's like, I think men still subconsciously, I was at an event where I was collaborating with some other chefs recently, and a lot of them were male. Right. It was only me and one other woman. And to your point, they don't realize it, because coming in, it was kind of like, standoffish. Then I killed it that night. And at the end, it was like, oh my God, mad respect for you. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You're dope.
you're actually
You wasn't
not just
acting
a
like
girl.
that when I walked in the door.
You're not just a girl.
You
you actually know how to cook for real.
Exactly.
So
it still happens. So
it's kind of like you have to prove yourself.
Yeah, I feel like
we ain't gotta prove ourselves to y'all though. Yeah. Y'all better see the light and the way.
Yeah,
because 9 times out of 10, a woman taught y'all how to cook. So you better recognize.
Right. I get a lot more support from women chefs.
Okay.
Yeah, I think women chefs everywhere are supporting each other in some kind of way. Like
we try to,
because
some of y'all little, some of y'all little loving hip hop.
I mean, you call me sometime like, "Yo, messy. Can you take this event?" You wouldn't do that if you didn't trust me.
I always look out. Because I know your food is good.
Exactly.
You're the shit. In my eyes, you wouldn't even be on my couch if you wasn't. Well, I don't even talk to mid-level.
So
we don't talk to mid-level around here.
No, we don't.
No, we do. I'll talk to the beginners, but she ain't no beginner though.
Yeah,
this is a well-seasoned vet over here.
So
you know. You are, man.
I love
fucking winemaker and shit. Over here, I can't wait. I can't wait till the wine thing is materialized.
Yes, I'm gonna bring it back.
Because I honestly think that you should do more wine geared pop-ups, food experiences. Because sometimes we gotta educate.
Yeah,
we gotta educate. We don't gotta talk about it. We gotta show you.
Right.
That's like what I'm doing here.
Right.
I can't really tell people. I gotta show them, and then they'll come. Build it like Noah's Ark.
Yeah, I mean, no, I agree with you. There are a lot of like Black wine brands that are doing the festivals and the events.
No, but that's what I mean. Like maybe it might not be the winery, but I'm saying I feel like because of what you do, I feel like it can kind of come back to the forefront. Yeah, she gonna call me in like a month and be like, you know what, Jourdan? I done put two actual wine pop up menu driven ideas. Listen, moms want to pop out and drink some good wine and taste some good food. Please don't sleep. Yes, you are a mom. Hello. Okay. Yes. The market is right there.
Absolutely.
That's how you market. That's how you play it.
Absolutely.
You're like, you know what I'm saying? Come on now. Just kick me a little.
It's definitely gonna come back.
Kick me a little percent for that idea.
I'm gonna kick it all to you. You got it. Whatever I got, you got.
I'll come be your sous chef.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not above it.
I know you're not.
I think there's a misconception. A lot of people think that I'm above assisting in the kitchen. Now, you do have to pay me. Right. But I know that if I'm assistant, I'm not gonna get what I normally get. Right. I'm gonna get an assistant. Right. I will help y'all. So listen, you come up and call me.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Call me.
I mean, sometimes you need an extra pair of hands and good hands.
Good hands.
When you hire those assistants that you
everybody don't want to work.
Right.
It's like, why are you here? You're in my way, bro.
Right.
What do you
if I just showed you how to place this, I'm gonna need you to be able to do it.
That's your
20
job.
more times.
What do you need from
20
me?
more.
I need you to do that. It's 2 hours and you still are doing that?
Right.
I'm going to keep that in mind. I think you can go home now.
Yeah. No, seriously.
I think you can go because you're in the way. So, I mean, but that's the thing about learning how to hire a quality staff. It is hard to find people that want to work and build a good team. Yeah. But your team is actually your greatest asset, right? To me, behind your own.
I try very hard not to work with new people that I've not worked with before. Right. If I need more people that I have access to, then I'm gonna call you. I'm gonna call a few other chefs that can lead.
And she has called me. She called me a few times. I was looking
for help in this area. Or do you know somebody that is of quality that I don't have to like micromanage in the process of the kitchen or the event? You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna be able to show you one time and move on.
And then we gotta go. Because
That's all I have time for.
Well, because when I've grown. Mm-hmm. I've grown. My attitude is a little spicy. It's not for everybody. Yeah. And for years I used to run around. I'm a boss. I'm a boss. Yeah. But I didn't know how to be a leader. I didn't know how to get people to do what I needed them to do because I didn't know how to talk to people. Okay. And I still am working on that. Yeah. Still, sometimes I don't care about how I'm talking to you, but it is something that I mean,
got to be able to command.
Your working relationships are important, and you also want to be able to get people to do what you need them to do. Right. If you're not talking to people either they're gonna mess up, they're self-conscious, or they could walk out on you or just give you an attitude, and then you just don't need that energy. So sometimes we do, especially as Black women now, sometimes we got to take responsibility for our attitudes and our delivery, and I am one. You know what I'm saying?
You gotta be able to command the room, but do it in a manner of where people are respected.
Right. Just where they can hear you. Yeah. And sometimes you have to figure out what language somebody speaks. Yep. So somebody doesn't, sometimes people don't learn they can't learn by you talking.
Right.
You have to show them.
Right.
Sometimes you talking, they can hear you and they're seeing and it's not clicking. So it's like it's picking up on, but that's the difference. I didn't know for a long time there was a difference between a boss and a leader.
Yeah.
Tell me about your recipe for success.
Yeah.
Tell me about 3 things that you would tell somebody getting into the industry, or 3 things that you would want to tell your younger self.
Yeah. So 3 things, right? Number 1,
and you can tell me all 6 if you want to do.
I'm like maybe combine.
Okay.
We'll see.
We like the remix.
We'll see what comes out of
a
my
little dab and a
dash.
dash.
Yeah. From the chef side, I would say try to do a multitude or a variety of things.
Okay.
Because I don't think young chefs truly understand what type of work they truly want to go into without really experiencing it enough. With the stories that we just told today, I feel like I did a lot. I worked in a restaurant. I managed a restaurant. I worked for a catering company. Like, I tried all these different things. I had my own events until I truly figured out what I wanted to do for myself, that I was passionate about, and that I could make money from.
But you know what? A key thing that you talked about, and even for me when I first got into the industry, I headhunted who I wanted to work under. I didn't see a job listing.
Right.
I created a job listing.
Yep.
I walked in. I told the chef. I actually went in on a field trip, and I met at the time he was one of the top African American chefs in the country. I didn't know this.
Right.
I had only walked in, in the hood spots before.
Right.
Crazy chefs,
Right.
alcoholics, cokeheads. They were screaming all the time, cussing me out, and the food was very mediocre. I wasn't necessarily learning, but I love to cook.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I went there, and he was, it was Andaluca inside of the Mayflower Park Hotel. And so it was a 4-star restaurant. And then we were also connected to the hotel. So there was the banquets and all this. And we went in for a field trip.
Yep.
He was a black man. His chef coat was pristine white.
Yep.
He cooked seasonal organic food. And he was quiet.
Yeah.
And I literally, at the end, I said, "Can I come in next week? I want to talk to you. I want to work under you. I want to learn."
That's my point number 2. Don't be afraid to shoot your shot.
Headhunt.
Don't be afraid to shoot your shot.
Right.
If it's looking for a particular type of client, if it's asking for a mentorship, if it's asking for a chance, I feel like I have either asked for it and gotten things that I didn't think I was gonna get, just based off of me asking.
Because all they could do is say no. That's the worst thing. But the best is yes.
Yeah, for sure. And that's how I learned to experience a lot of things. Like, can I help you do this? Like, can I help you on your catering job? Because I didn't know how to cater in the beginning. I did that by asking people to let me help them on their events.
Right. You got to be willing to do the work. A lot of people want to skip to the end. They want to be the chef. They want to wear the title, but they don't got the time and the experience, and they haven't done the work.
Yep.
Yeah.
Another thing I would say, also for being a chef, but also having products.
Yes.
I have learned a lot about trying to understand like how to market and promote my products appropriately. And I think one of the things that I have learned is, are you solving someone's problem with this? Like, I can make a bomb sauce. I can make bomb 20 sauces. But is this solving something for somebody?
Well, but is this a sauce that other people want?
Right.
I might like the sauce.
Exactly.
But they ain't got no interest in the sauce. So it's like, I done put all this money in this investment in this sauce.
Yes. And trust me, I have wasted lots of money trying to figure this CPG world out. But now I understand, just kind of through like researching and talking to people, like truly what they're looking for from a home cook perspective. It's the thing.
Market research.
Right. Know your audience. You need to be creating your products for the right audience, that you are solving something, you're easing a pain point, or you're giving them something that they are regularly looking for.
Well, most people don't understand that branding and marketing is like, people are doing surveys. Like, you don't just jump out the window.
Yep.
So, market research is really important.
So, that's something that I would tell somebody. Be confident, even if you feel like that you might not. There's a few chefs that I know that I'm like, you are discounting the fact that, you know what you're doing. Just be more confident in it, and it'll come across better, you know?
Well, I think that a lot of times we have to do a better job at encouraging one another.
Yes.
I like to randomly just send my friends voice notes, really from the heart.
Yeah.
And I started doing it. One of my other friends did it a lot, but also my mom and my sister had passed away, and I only had one voicemail saved for each of them.
Yeah.
And so I always tell people who are taking care of people who are sick or who are just in life in general, you always want to have people's voices recorded. You want to go back to so I sent all of my friends encourage, hey girl, good luck on that, you know what I'm saying? Hey girl, I was just thinking about you, and you know you got that new sauce coming out, and I just want to tell you, like, I'm so fucking proud of you, and you already know I'm about to get that sauce. I'm gonna make them cookies, you know what I'm saying, with the hot honey sauce.
Oh man,
get that honey hot sauce from the Spice Queen. It has a recipe for chocolate chip cookies that got some spice, and at first it sounds weird, but that is fire.
It was delicious. I actually made them.
Yeah, I made them.
I know. I took your recipe and then I made them.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh my god!
I made the cookies.
They were so good. I didn't even know I even had anything to do with that. So we kind of segued. I was gonna ask you what you would advise for people that want to get into selling spices and branded goods.
It's not easy.
Right.
It's a lot of things that you need to be aware of, right? So when I started my journey, I actually took some food production certifications. I went up to UGA. They have a BOMS food science program.
Okay.
You can just go online, sign up. Some of their programs are like 2-3 days. Go to class.
She didn't just wake up and make pink sauce.
Oh, yeah, no, I didn't. Exactly. I'm dead. You know, people ask me about pink sauce all the time because of Sauce Queen. They're like, "Oh, what do you think about pink sauce?"
No, ma'am.
Because it's
good for you
being manufactured
good,
now. I think
good
in
for
Walmart
you.
or
Yeah,
something
it
like
is.
that.
It is.
Yeah.